Welcome back to another Apex DIY. Today we're going to cover landscape lighting. Landscape lighting offers a nice accent to garden features, pathways, stairs, steps, and also provides subtle security within your yard. Here we have a few different options. We have a standard pathway light. It can be put along sidewalks, along entryways, and even throughout the garden landscape to accent your plants and perennials. Today we'll be showing you how to install an uplight. This is good for trees, shrubs, provides an accent and focus on garden structures and art as well. There's other different various light fixtures such as stair lights, wall lights, and also wash lights. So selecting the right fixture for your landscape is crucial, and it's a very personal process. Light fixtures come in a variety of finishes. We have bronze finish here, as well as a black powder coat finish. This becomes very personal, so you need to look online and figure out what you like and the style you want to go with. When we install our landscape lighting, the first step is to make sure our existing power is off. We'll be connecting into what we have already in place, but before we do that, we're going to go through some of the simple operations of installing the landscape lighting. We've got our roll of landscape wire here. Ends are not stripped yet, so we simply take a standard wire stripper and we're going to strip the end off to prepare it for our electrical connection. Very simply, we tether our landscape lighting to our other connection. You'll put the two ends together so that they function together. Now with our wire connectors, we have two options available. One is a standard twist-on wire nut. These have silicone inside to keep them weatherproof. The other option is a brass coupler that also utilizes heat shrink tubing. This is a little bit better option, a little bit more permanent and more weatherproof. If you do decide to make changes down the road, it's a little bit more difficult to change out versus the wire nut. The way this one works is you put the heat shrink tube on first, and then the simple brass fitting gets tightened down with an Allen key. Inserting the first end in, and then we tighten it down to create a tight connection with the wire from our source. So this goes back to the transformer. We then take our landscape lighting wire, we're going to insert it into the other side to create a connection between the two wires. Tighten that down as well. Once we confirm both are tight, we simply bring the heat shrink tubing up and over. We want to make sure the brass connector is centered on the two. Here we'll use a torch to then heat shrink this tubing down. What that does is that allows for a waterproof connection, and it's also durable should any animals start digging on it or someone pulls on it. Now that that's sealed, that connection will be ready for a direct burial into the ground. The simpler connection, which is a simple wire nut, we will strip this end. Simple wire nut, first thing you'll do is put the two ends together, give a small twist to them, insert into the wire nut, and turn them until they tighten down. Key point with your wire nuts is tighten them as tight as you can go. That way they have a strong, secure connection. I also like to add a piece of electrical tape around the two wires so they can't pull apart. So those are the basics of connecting the two types of wire connectors and how we'll get started. Today we'll be installing an uplight to accent a garden feature here. So this will accent the garden feature as well as wash the evergreens in the background. We simply start with our wire connections. In this instance, we'll be using the silicone wire nuts to connect them. I've chosen the wire nuts because the resident here has already done some of their own work, and so we're going to keep it consistent with what they already have, which is silicone wire nuts. Simply inserting the wire nuts and tightening them down until they don't turn any further. Good hard locking connections. Once we have them both connected, then we take our light, and what I always recommend is don't put this fully into the ground. You'll want to keep everything loose, so then tonight you can come back and look at it and make slight adjustments. If we put it in and put all the effort and work into setting it and burying it, you might end up doing the work twice. So go ahead and do a rough layout during the day and come back in the evening to check to make sure you like the look of it. These are very simple to push into the ground. And we do a rough focus on where we want our light to shine on this garden fixture with a nice wash in the background. Once this is installed, we'll go back to the time clock and go ahead and turn on the manual mode so we can make sure that everything's connected and we have power to the light fixture. Now that we've turned our power back on, we can see that our light is working. So we're going to go ahead and do our first adjustment through the day here, simply by using a Phillips screwdriver, turning this head down so that it's now facing our garden art. We can see that it's pointing here, nice cast of light, and then this evening we'll come back and confirm it's exactly how we want it. Small tweaks and changes along the way for your first run will be required. Next, when we have a mulch bed here, we go ahead and we can simply pull back the existing mulch and using a garden pin the landscape lighting wires down into the ground. We then put the mulch back over the top. Those pins will keep it in place so no animals can dig up the wires and expose them. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you in our next Apex DIY.